All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Behavior Bites. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have a really awesome conversation today. I can tell. I'm here with Megan Housby, who is going to talk with us about cooperative care. And if you're not sure what that is, or you're kind of new to that idea, hang in tight because we're going to get into all of the details. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Megan because she's amazing. So Megan has been, and you're just going to get all excited and geek out with me here in a second, guys. Okay, so Megan has been a lover of animals all her life and helped her parents do wildlife rehabilitation growing up, which is amazing. She began her career as a zookeeper, where she enjoyed enriching various zoo animals and training them on husbandry and medical handling skills, which is a big part of cooperative care and what we're going to talk about today. So Megan became a vet tech, a veterinary technician, when she realized it was more compatible with her husband's active duty military career. There's a lot of moving around, right? And so I love that. And Megan is the head nurse. Some of you might know Megan, right? Because Megan's the head nurse and trainer at Animal Behavior Wellness Center here in Richmond. And I know a lot of my clients are also Megan and Dr. Learn's clients. And so there's a lot of overlap. So some of you may already know Megan. So Megan lives here with her husband, Tony, and their dogs, Grady and Anton, who I am very excited to hear about. Hopefully we'll get some Grady and Anton stories, and their cat May, who is also, I'm sure, fantastic, and maybe will make some appearances. In her free time, she enjoys hiking with her dogs, horticulture, and rehabbing wildlife, including, I've seen recently, raccoons and squirrels, which is very, very, very exciting. And as you can imagine, there is a lot of education behind that. And so as I pull through my notes here, because I wrote them down because there's so much good stuff happening. So we have, and not we, Megan has an associate's degree in zoo animal technology and in veterinary technology and a bachelor's of science in zoology and in field biology. Do you see why I had to write it down? There was a lot of good stuff happening there. And then additionally, hold on while I scroll through my notes, Megan. She is also a certified animal trainer and is fear-free certified, which is fear-free and cooperative care, I feel like go hand in hand. So that's my intro. That's my best intro, guys. Megan has a lot of really cool stuff going on, and I feel like I did not do that intro justice. So thank you for hanging with me. Megan, I'm going to let you take over the talking here and dive in, and we can start talking about cooperative care. So I think the first big question that some people may be familiar with and some people may not be sure at all is, what is cooperative care? What are we talking about here today?
Yeah. So first, thank you so much for having me today. Cooperative care. So cooperative care is teaching an animal that they can be a willing and active participant in their handling, their husbandry, and their veterinary care. We can teach them to use non-aggressive behaviors to let us know if they are okay with what we need to do and if we need to stop. And then I think that what's important to understand in this aspect is that it's not just veterinary care. It is so much more than that. It's I used to hear me say husbandry. That's a veterinary, or that's a zookeeper term. But everything from grooming and nail trims, but also handling. I mean, putting on a harness, giving medication, all of that sort of stuff plays into it.
There's a lot of ground to cover, and I think that we might have some people where it's just like that's blowing their mind, right? That's like potentially has never occurred to them that their dog or other animal could participate. And one of the things that I'm so excited about this conversation is sometimes with my clients, I'll kind of, and I'm sure I imagine this comes up for you a lot, is if you can zoo it with zoo animals, can you imagine how we give zoo animals, get them, how do we do that? It's not by force, and it's not, I'll let you get all into that, but then certainly we can do it with your dog, right? Or certainly we can do it with your cat.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
I love it. And I hope that if for people, this is like, the first time that they're kind of being introduced to this concept, uh, that they can start to imagine a world where their dog isn't super stressed by putting on the harness or by visiting the vet or by being handled. So we can kind of see there. Tell us, why is cooperative care important?
Well, so it's important because it gives the animal some sort of choice, some sort of control in their own, in what happens to them. And when that happens, that brings down the anxiety. And I think about it, if you, so, I mean, the dentist is usually not something a whole lot of people want to do. You can explain to yourself, the dentist can explain to you why they need to do something. And you can also tell the dentist to stop if you need to. We can't explain to our animals that what we need to do is for their own good. And imagine if you're at the dentist and they forced you, they held you down, you're not going to want to go back to them again. And it's going to make the stress of it so much worse. But it also allows us to more safely and humanely care for them. So again, we don't have to wrestle them and potentially end up injuring them. And it's nicer, let's be honest, let's be nice to our animals.
I always think it's kind of funny, without going too far down this rabbit hole, you'll have folks that will say, oh, well, like, we think people who want to do this sort of thing just think that other things are mean, that we're being mean. And it's so much more than that. But also, I like not being mean. I think that's a good reason. And so, and to your point, it is safer and much less stressful for everyone, because most folks don't, I know, my Cyan we've had quite a journey with nail care, and thank goodness for nail boards. But it was traumatic for both of us. I couldn't even work with him on clipper training because it stressed me out so much. We had to completely throw away what we were doing before because I would get so upset at the appearance of the clippers, right? And so people don't want that. We don't want it to be stressful and unsafe for everyone involved. And so I think your point is beautiful, that we can use cooperative care to make that a less stressful experience for everyone.
Absolutely. And nails and medicating tend to be one of the most stressful, whether it be, an oral medication or whether it be eye drops or ear drops. All of those, cats tend to be a big one with medication, but we can teach them that they can actually participate in it. And even though maybe that it doesn't taste the best, that if they do this, they get something super yummy as a reward.
It's that it really drives home that point of cooperation, right? Like, we're not saying that your dog is going to be like lining up to get their eye drops, although sometimes, right? Sometimes the dog is like, heck yes, this is cheese time, but
right, exactly.
But yes, can the dog opt in? Can they have the freedom to opt out? And doesn't that make opting out happen less often because of the ability to do so? That's a beautiful thing. So
it does. It really does.
Yeah, I love it. And we could get into, right, the relationship, the trust building of all of that. So this might go without saying at this point, but who needs cooperative care? Who does this affect?
Everybody needs cooperative care, but I want to make sure it's not just dogs, your cats, your horses, various livestock, the chickens, the rehab animals, the parrots that you keep, everything can benefit from it.
Oh, I love that. I was watching this TikTok video where they were shearing an alpaca. I think it was an alpaca. Was it a llama? Who gets sheared? Someone was getting sheared in Texas. Both. Okay, perfect. You can tell that this is my specialty as well. But they were big and they were fluffy and they were getting sheared. And the person was doing it in such a way. I don't know that there had been any previous training, but there was clearly in the video an emphasis on consent and taking breaks and reading body language. And it was really cool to see. And I know you're about to hit us with all of your experiences. I'm really hoping that there's like a zoo animal story. But I also have seen like at Maymont here in Richmond, they have some signs up and around about how they work on husbandry and cooperative care with their animals, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so when should someone begin working on cooperative care with their dog?
So
Or
as
any
early as
animal,
possible,
any animal.
any animal, as early as possible. So basically as soon as you get them, whether it be, you know, a rescue animal that you get when they're 3, 4, 10 years old, they can still benefit from it. And if you have a kitten or a puppy or, you know, something else that's young and you're getting that opportunity to start then, even better.
Preventing that stress before it pops up is so lovely, right?
It is.
I love
It
it.
really is.
I love it. So how does someone get started, and how might that look different for different animals and for dogs? Or I just keep defaulting to dogs, so you correct me if I ever don't correct myself. But how might that, where might someone start that process, right? Because it might sound a little overwhelming. I know the first time I was introduced to this concept, I was overwhelmed. And because it's like you said, it's such a broad topic and there's so much. How do I ask my dog for consent? And all these nuances. So how should folks get started? What's the best place to begin?
So this is something that it really is helpful to have professionals involved. Have a qualified animal trainer, someone who has experience with cooperative care. Teach them, have them teach you how to read body language. That is going to be number one right there. We need to be able to read their body language. And then there's a couple of skills that transfer, stuff like, a target, stuff like a relax on the mat, teaching them how to handle medications. And then we actually, if we can get everybody else involved, that's even better. Get your veterinary staff involved and whoever else happens to help you care for that animal. So a sitter, a dog walker, make sure that they know the little idiosyncrasies, that happen to come up with giving medication or putting on the harness or something like that. And if you can get your vet staff involved, we can make it so much easier in the veterinary world, not only for that animal and for you, but also for that vet staff.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's, sometimes I'll talk to clients, and maybe you've had this experience too, about getting their vet involved and their groomer involved and their dog walker involved and the rest of their family involved in that sort of thing. And sometimes people will be like, oh, I don't want to bother them with that, and it's like, this actually makes things much less. Your vet wants the visit to be less stressful too. You know what I mean? Your groomer also wants your dog to feel comfortable. And so I found in my experience that a lot of times, those types of professionals are all about it, right? Because they want it to be safer and less stressful for everyone. That's their goal too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. Will you give us an example? Will you give us a zoo example of some cooperative care in action?
So some of the ones that I've been personally involved in, my very first one was with a Reeves muntjac, which happens to be a tiny little deer. And we had, at the zoo in Florida that I was at, we had a baby born, and we needed to catch up that baby so we could examine it and make sure everything was healthy, and figure out if it was a boy or girl and how much it weighed and all that sort of stuff. And so in order to facilitate that, we needed to crate train mom and dad so that they weren't freaking out when we went to go grab baby. So we did, it started off with some desensitization, and their favorite treat was Cheerios. And we eventually got them crate trained, and so it made it so much easier. Some of the other ones, the Komodo dragons were taught to climb the fence so that we could be on the other side and trim their nails. The the hippos were trained to open their mouths, not only so we could do a dental exam, but they actually really liked their tongues scrubbed. The grizzly bears were trained to do something very similar, and we could also do their nails by them putting their paw up against the fence. Yeah, the elephants were trained to give us their feet so we could do foot care. And also the elephants, I think, are really cool examples because they are so big and there is no chance of force, and chemical restraint with them, like sedation and stuff, is very dangerous. So we try to get them to do as much stuff as possible with cooperative care, and they can actually do, so we do a lot of like, we do blood draws from their ears. We do trunk washes. So they suck up a bunch of stuff into their trunk and blow it into a bag. And then we can test that fluid to see if there's any viruses or anything like that that we need to be aware of. One really cool one, and this isn't one of mine, but one really cool one that I know of is the giant pandas at the Smithsonian are actually trained to sit with their backs to the enclosure, to the outside of the enclosure, and they have one has a sore shoulder and he gets lasered that way. Yeah. And then some of the other ones that I've really liked, so some of the birds can actually be a lot of fun for this sort of stuff. Everything from medication training to beak trims to nail trims to checking out their wings. We can get them to spread out their wings so we can check them out and do a physical exam. The giraffes, those things are so tall, and you got to be really careful about their legs and their hooves. And so we can get them to present their hoof in a way that we can do a hoof trim that makes it very stress-free. Everybody is trained to walk onto a scale so we can get their weight. And there's so many more. I could go on forever with some of this stuff. I have so many different favorites from the two different zoos that I worked at and all of my various animals I worked with. Trying to think what some of my other favorites were. Yeah, the rhinos. The rhinos were probably one of my absolute favorites. The cool thing about the rhinos was they would present their butt to the enclosure so that we could give them a vaccine.
What good rhinos. Oh my goodness. I could listen to these stories forever. Yeah. It's magical. Every example you're giving just sounds like magic. And this is the point that I try to use with clients is, like you said, if the rhino can do it, we can teach your cat to do this. If we can get the giraffe to cooperate, we can figure out your dog. And so I love that. And am I correct, Megan, that cooperative care and husbandry and all of this, like you said, that's a zoo term, but really kind of it started in the zoo world, right? And then has come over into kind of the domesticated pets world. Is that right?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Now I'm just all like jazzed up and excited. In the interest of time, I will prevent us from going further down any additional rabbit holes. Focus, Gabrielle. Okay, that's very cool. Megan, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I am just so excited. Will you take a minute to tell folks where they can find you, what you're up to, and leave us with kind of a call to action? So now that people have this information, what should they do?
Absolutely. So in that call to action realm, there is an excellent article from IAABC called "What is Cooperative Care?" read that, check it out. There's a couple of videos in there. There's a few books that are really interesting. One is called Fearful to Fear Free. And the other one, there's another one called Cooperative Care, seven steps to stress-free husbandry care. And then there's another one that's mostly geared towards veterinary professionals, but it's also another great book for everybody. That's called Cooperative Veterinary Care. And that was actually written by two veterinary technicians. And I refer to that one often. It's got great videos attached and everything. So you can find me at the Richmond office of Animal Behavior Wellness Center. Like Gabrielle said, I am the head nurse and head trainer there. And I am involved in whether they happen to be my specific patient that I'm training or not. I tend to be involved in all aspects of their care. And I really, I hope to in the future, I'm working towards getting my specialty in veterinary tech. So veterinary technicians have specialties. There's numerous ones that you can go with, but I'm working on my specialty towards behavior. And so hopefully that happens in the next few years. And I really encourage everybody to check out Cooperative Care, to not only for your benefit and your animal's benefit, but everybody else who's involved in that care, because it really does help bring down stress for everybody.
Oh, I love that. I love all of that. Thank you so much, Megan. Guys, I will have links to all the resources, Megan, that you just mentioned. I'll have them in the, I've lately been hearing people use the term show notes, which is very fancy. I just say the description, but they will be available wherever you're viewing this video. Megan, I will also say here on air. So guys, I have read the 7 steps to, Deb Jones's book. I have read it. It's fantastic. Megan lent me her copy. I then purchased a copy of my own so I could have one and return your copy to you. Guys, I still owe Megan her copy back. So this is me putting that out there on the internet. I have resources I need to get back to you. Thank you for lending them to me. So this has been absolutely fantastic. Megan, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. This is such an important topic, and I'm so glad that you were able to come and speak on it. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We will have to do this again soon. I know we had tossed around like a few topics, and maybe you'll come back and we can talk on some more items. I would love that.
I would love that too.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, be sure to check out those resources down below this video so that you can learn more about cooperative care or find someone who can help you work on cooperative care with your dog, whether that's myself or Megan or any other. Fear Free is a good place to start looking for folks for that. Would that be right, Megan? Yeah. So Fear Free, I'll list their website as well in their directory. So you can work to find a Fear Free professional in your area. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.